Lexus will be fully battery electric here in North America by 2030, and their first step towards that happened today as they revealed the RZ 450e fully battery electric vehicle. Today we're going to talk about all the specs, design, details, everything you need to know about the Lexus RZ 450e electric car. We're over at the Lexus press room where they have all the details. Meet the all-new Lexus RZ, the luxury brand's first battery EV. That's not exactly true, but it's true for here in North America. They do have the UX 300e in other parts of the world, but that vehicle is more like the BZ4X, I would say, in terms of power and driving dynamics. This is on a whole nother level. People want to know range, performance when it comes to battery electric vehicles, and we'll get into the luxury aspects here in a second when we talk about the exterior interior design, but let's start with the goods. 308 horsepower, 320 pound-feet of torque. They're taking the 150 kilowatt motor from the BZ4X front wheel drive model and the rear motor from the all-wheel drive BZ4X. They're putting it together to get us the 308 horsepower. 0 to 60 is faster than what I was expecting. 0 to 100 is around 5.5, and Lexus has confirmed 5.2 seconds is what they're estimating for 0 to 60. That's pretty quick. The BZ4X with just 214 horsepower felt pretty darn quick with the 0 to 60 in the low 6s. We get a full tick faster, full second faster to 60 with the RZ 450e. Battery is only going to be sourced from Panasonic. Lexus themselves have said that it gets better performance than the CATL source battery that is in the all-wheel drive BZ4X. Doesn't come as a surprise. And I believe in Europe, you guys might only be getting for the BZ4X the Panasonic source battery and CATL for us lesser market here in the United States. I don't know why they do that. It's for cost cutting measures for sure. Range is a very modest 225 miles. I thought Lexus would be giving us a bigger battery pack, but no, they're just giving us that same 71 kilowatt hour battery pack we see in the front wheel drive BZ4X. Just 225 miles, which is less than the 252 miles, I think is what it is in the front wheel drive BZ4X XLE. So we're losing about 25 miles or so. Pricing, we don't know. Okay, so this is just placeholder, but Lexus is going to have to price it aggressively because they will be running out of the tax credit by the end of the year. It should be diminishing Q1 of 2023. So 60K is what I'm guessing, and I think they should be able to deliver it for that. Look, if the BZ4X starts around 42, 43K, I don't think it's that hard for Lexus to have their model for around 60K. All right, so the design really has been shown to us for a long time now. So there's nothing really that groundbreaking on the exterior. We will get some new paint colors as a result of this first ever electrified vehicle. We'll also get some new interior colors we'll detail here in a second. But the image of the charger, we don't have details on the charging capacity, but if the 71.4 kilowatt hour battery from the BZ4X charges at 150 kilowatts, I think it's pretty much guaranteed that this battery will charge at 150 kilowatts, unless Lexus is bending their batteries, meaning they're testing these batteries and only the highest spec or the purest ones made from Panasonic go into the Lexus, which is a possibility, and therefore it can charge faster. So I'm going to say 150 kilowatts minimum for this vehicle. In some markets, we'll be seeing a steering yoke. Here in the United States, don't expect that, at least not for a while. It will come out later this year in America. I believe it's in October is going to be the global launch. So hopefully early fall we'll be able to get it. But the steering wheel is normal. This looks like the same steering wheel taken from the LX or the NX. So nothing crazy here. We do have these eye sensors behind the steering wheel, which lend to more safety features. This has Lexus Safety System 3.0, which is similar that we see in the Lexus NX. The NX doesn't have this eye feature. So in the future, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some increased driving safety features downloadable into the car. Yes, we'll have over-the-air software updates. We do have that latch here, this digital latch that we see in the Lexus NX, and the same sort of style of driving or drive selector knob that we see in the BZ4X. We do have some piano black here, but thankfully it doesn't look like it's nearly as widespread as it is in the BZ4X. If we look at the window controls here, instead of glossy black, we kind of have this matte black design, which I'm perfectly okay with that. Power button is nestled inside the vents, which is located right above the 14-inch screen that we see in the NX. And I wouldn't be surprised if this 14-inch screen is standard in this RZ 450e. We still have a volume knob, thankfully. Long live the volume knobs. Check out kkcarshop.com if you want to see my merch. We have 3 USB ports in the front. Available is a heads-up display. That's why we see the MID in the more traditional spot here behind the steering wheel, unlike the BZ4X. We'll have at least 3 different interior colors here. This one is kind of this gray and black configuration with ultra suede on the outside, and these seats look like they're pretty heavily bolstered, so Lexus is really taking a step towards performance with this first ever Direct4 drivetrain. We have a detailed look here of the wood grain trim. We have a very minimal interior. We don't have hardly any detail or trim pieces on the door. It's just kind of like two-tone synthetic leather, but I do like the very minimal design. I think it's attractive and definitely is not distracting. There's no huge amounts of glossy black or anything like we see in the BZ4X. Even though it's minimal, I think they do a good job of keeping that premium feel. If we look at the A-pillars here, this looks like to be a fabric, where in the BZ4X, it's like plastic. So all these materials on the inside are going to be taken to that next level versus the Toyota and Subaru Solterra counterparts. It's good to have stitching around the door handle, I guess, the latch there. And this material on the back seat looks very suede-like. It's hard to tell from this image, but we don't have that two-tone like we had in the front seat. It doesn't look like. Now, this could be a completely different color-coded interior versus what we saw back here, for example. Now, we also have the Stargazer roof, which we see from the Toyota Venza. The sunroof, though, unfortunately, is not standard on this vehicle, and it's a panoramic sunroof, but it is not standard, unlike the BZ4X XLE, which will probably cost 20 grand less than this. Pricing and packaging hasn't been finalized, so Toyota and Lexus have not decided exactly how this vehicle will be equipped here in the United States. I don't think they, of course, don't have pricing. Here's this copper color. It looks like the LF1 Limitless copper cover, and you know, now that I'm seeing an official image, I kind of roasted it for the spindle body grille, which they are calling it the spindle body. They don't really have the spindle grille anymore. They integrate it in the body, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think it's the next evolution of the spindle grille, which is I'm happy for. But what do you think about this two-tone paint color? We don't have details on it other than I think it's going to be an option. It's not like it's a higher spec RZ 450e. It's not like an F Sport trim or anything like that. So I think it's just going to be the two-tone paint color on all RZs going forward. I don't expect it on every single paint color either. Here's a closer up look of it, and it looks really striking for sure. The camera looks like it's more centered on this vehicle, maybe actually a little bit to the left like it is in the BZ4X. Yeah, it is what it is, but it is going to use the same parking sensors 360 camera as the BZ4X for sure. We have that light bar tail light that goes across. It's kind of a Lexus signature now because the NX, the UX, the LX, the IS, I'm probably forgetting a vehicle or two, they all have it, and it's just going to be a part of the identity for Lexus going forward, just like there is no Lexus badge on the back. And I actually think it looks really good with the Lexus spelled out on to this tailgate here with the glossy black behind it. RZ 450e with the Direct4. Direct4 is standard. All-wheel drive, of course, as a result, is standard on this. We also have these unique little fins coming off the back here. They're supposed to help with aerodynamics. So learning more about the Direct4 here, because this vehicle is taking electrification performance to another level compared to their hybrids or even their plug-in hybrid. This should be a completely different performing vehicle. Look, the plug-in hybrid NX, it's great. Good electric range on it, around 35 to 40, and good power, but it's not a driver's vehicle by any means. It just has really good power delivery. Now, power distribution on this Direct4 is something I've been really excited for to learn more about, so let's dig into it. Direct4 distribution control uses wheel, vehicle speed, acceleration, and steering angle sensor information to control front to rear drive force ratio distribution between 100 to 0 ratio and 0 to 100 ratio. This contributes to improved startup acceleration, handling, stability, and low power consumption. The distribution of drive force ratio between front and rear is 60 to 40 and 40 to 60 to minimize vehicle pitch during launch and straight line acceleration, thereby achieving a direct acceleration feel. That is going to be very fun to test out. The thing with most EVs is that they just kind of throw all the power at you at once or slowly ramp up the power for each motor so you're not doing burnouts, right? But here, they don't want you to be diving and pitching forward and back, and I had some of that in the Ioniq 5 as well as the ID4, is that you have a good amount of body roll and pitching when you're getting hard to the brakes with the acceleration. So I'm excited to see how that feels. I thought the BZ4X's pitch and dive was very minimal, so this should be even more impressive. When the steering wheel is turned, drive force is biased to the front wheels, distributing drive force between 75 to 25 and 50-50. And that means from the front to the rear, of course. So the RZ responds nimbly and provides excellent steering feel. When exiting a corner, torque distribution to the rear wheels is further increased between 50-50 and 20-80 to ensure ample traction while controlling vehicle pitch. The RZ has a new braking system. So this new pressurization unit enables coordinated front and rear regenerative braking through independent front and rear hydraulic control. The new braking system aims to provide seamless, direct, and controlled braking under the direction of the Lexus driving signature. Based on Lexus hybrid electric technology experience and achievements over the years, the regenerative braking system improves regenerative efficiency to increase cruise range while enhancing brake feel. Stable vehicle posture is achieved by optimizing the distribution of braking force to the front and rear wheels in response to the amount of braking by the driver. And this is right in Toyota Lexus wheelhouse here. Furthermore, ergonomic brake pedal pads are used for easy pedal changes and pedal depression. So they even focus on the small minutiae, such as the texture and compound of the brake pedals, to make sure it's a great experience. Over automotive news, we have an article from Hans Greimel talking about the availability of the RZ 450e across the world, and this kind of blew my mind. He's saying that the RZ is only expected to be in production for 33,000 units for the first year. They're looking to ramp that up. I mean, to me, it's built in the Motomachi plant, and there's other things already being built there, like the GR Yaris, the GR Corolla, the Lexus LC, the Toyota Crown, probably some others, but I just don't know if they have that production capacity to keep growing. They're going to have to keep building plants in Japan or use other plants to increase the volume. I think another thing, they're just hamstrung by the battery supply from CATL, not on this vehicle, but on the BZ4X, but also the Panasonic battery they're hamstrung by. We're only going to see in the United States, or should I say North America, 439 vehicles per month. China gets 1,500 and Europe only sees 584. So I have a spreadsheet. Yes, I made a small little spreadsheet to give you an idea of the allocation for the RZ 450e, and it's tiny. Tiny. So North America, only 439 units, meaning a total for yearly of just 5,268 units. That is not going to be enough to meet the demand, and you're probably going to see markups as a result. Europe is getting more allocation as they have stricter EV and emissions policies there, so they're getting 7,000 units. Meanwhile, China is getting 1,500 units monthly and 18,000 per year. Out of the 33,000 per year, China's getting 18,000. And we don't know what the differences are between the 33,000 and the 30,276 based off of the numbers that Heinz Grommel gave us. It could be other countries like Singapore that they could be giving the delta of the 30,000 to the 33,000. So it may be even Australia as well. So there's going to be other countries in here getting the RZ 450e in much smaller numbers than what we see from the 5,000 to 18,000 of the countries spoken about here. So I'll just leave this spreadsheet up here while I kind of summarize my thoughts. I can't wait to drive it. The BZ4X, I was disappointed when I first heard the official numbers on it. When I first heard the power numbers especially. Then I drove the car and saw how good it was. All those fears passed away and I was just absolutely impressed. It's probably the best EV I've driven from the mainstream competition. Even the Ioniq 5, which had more power, but its balance was not there. The quality in the ride was not there compared to the BZ4X. The BZ4X to me felt like Lexus quality in terms of ride, quiet, build quality, but it didn't have the same materials I would expect and the same sort of attention that we're going to see in this RZ450e. We know it's not going to be available in big numbers, especially the first year, and that's going to come as a disappointment for many of us, but this is going to be a very slow, calculated ramp up for Lexus and Toyota for that matter with electrification. Look, they want to sell 2.5 million battery electric vehicles by 2030, not total, but in the year 2030 per year, they want to sell 2.5 million. Lexus will account for 1 million of those battery electric vehicles. And when you think about it, Lexus is very small compared to Toyota, and Lexus will be essentially taking half of the total Toyota battery electric vehicles available in 2030. So this ramp up is going to happen quick, but not as quick enough, right? We want everything right here, right now. We want tons of RZs out there for us to get our hands on, to buy, to drive, etc. It's just going to be a waiting game, kind of like we have with the RAV4 Prime, kind of like what we have with the BZ4X. We're going to be waiting to get volume that the market demands. And it's not just for the Lexus RZ, but it's also for all the competition out there. Look, Tesla is producing 1 million BEVs a year right now, and they can't come close to meeting the demand for those vehicles. So Toyota, Lexus, they're starting really, really small on the volume end, and it will be interesting to see how they ramp up production. Yes, production for these vehicles will eventually have to come to North America. Don't know what plant, probably the Kentucky plant, since it's the largest Toyota plant in the world. It's really hard to say, but it'll be fun to see the unfolding, the blossoming of this electrification plan, not only from Toyota, but specifically Lexus. And it starts with the RZ450e. Mild specs, but it's going to have fantastic ride quality. I'm really excited to try this Direct4 system to see how it distributes the power and how minimal that dive and pitch that they're talking about will be. But that's all I have for the RZ450e until I can drive it, until I have official pricing and packaging. If you're watching this video on the day it goes live, which is the day that the RZ was revealed, later this night I will be live streaming with Michael from Lexus Enthusiast, where we're going to talk and have some great dialogue about Lexus Electrified and the RZ450e. If you enjoyed today's video, I would appreciate the like button being pressed and subscribe for more Lexus